Hey guys, so glad you're back. This is where our mission is to empower educators with effective behavior management strategies that work. They are evidence based, they are strategies that I use every single day, and so many other educators as well. So, this is where you're going to learn and grow even more on how to deal with your students that have challenging behaviors. And today is our monthly chat with Andrew Smith, who is a behavior expert, behavior tutor, who is working in 4 different schools right now. And so he shares what makes an impactful teacher. What are some of the teachers who have impacted him in his lifetime of education and also in his kids' lives? How have they impacted his kids? And what is it about those teachers that have that lasting impact? So that is what we are going to talk about today. So you won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Welcome to Behavior Strategies for Class. I am Diane Bachman, your behavior paraprofessional with over 15 years of experience working in special education. And I'm so glad you're here because I'll be teaching you about social emotional learning, behavior strategies, trauma-informed care, and more. So if you are tired of being frustrated and not knowing what to do with your students who have challenging and disruptive behavior, you're in the right place. Now, if you're ready to become more equipped to help your students learn and grow, let's listen in to today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back. Behavior Strategies for Class here again with our friend Andrew Smith, behavior tutor extraordinaire. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks. That sounded so very Mr. Rogers right there.
Right? We're just keeping it happy, right? Enthusiasm. So, today we are talking about what makes an impactful teacher. And maybe you can share some of the teachers that have impacted you or maybe impacted your kids, because this is still Staff Appreciation, Teacher Appreciation Month, really. I know different districts have it at different times. Our school has already had it. But we really want to shout out to the teachers who are there every day, giving their best, because you really are life changers and you do make such an impact on your students. So, Andrew, can you think of, let's say, one teacher that impacted you as you were going through school?
Absolutely. I've been lucky. I've not only just the going through grade school and high school, I think I've had some pretty amazing teachers, so I feel like I got pretty lucky. Um, First one's my stepdad that comes to mind, where
Huh.
he's pretty patient and put up with me and my brother being yahoos for quite a while. And then my
Yeah.
sister came along and she's Yahoo too, a little bit younger. Um, but he continually wants to learn new things. And so his passion to like be a lifelong learner is a big deal for me. And that's probably why I keep going to school, right? I think I'm on
Yeah.
year, I don't know, 20 something. It's just, keep working on more degrees, which,
Right.
is just kind of that inspiration. But um, there's so many. And uh, when I was thinking about this for this episode, I couldn't nail down any one thing because so many teachers find their ways in so many, and they just have certain ways they go about things. And so I
Right.
remember Mrs. Newell and Mrs. Coakley from way back when, I'm old, I got the white in my beard, early 90s of this little Catholic school I went to in Colorado Springs. They had passion, but they also had some pretty good and very strict boundaries as you get in little Catholic schools, right?
Right.
But they also like invested in you as a kid, and that was
Mhm.
really cool. If you, I still remember coming up with some random chart. I don't even know. I somehow I was talking about Christopher Columbus, and I must have just discovered like a protractor or something like that. So I'm making graphs and doing all this, and my little
Those are
ADHD
cool.
self in second grade, like it made sense to me. And then I was like, well, Christopher Columbus, landed in America. And she's like, okay, that there we go. There's a map you made. And so just being willing to listen and hear me out was a big part. I work, so I work with four schools right now directly, and I'm in like five or six. So I get to see so many different teachers, and some of the biggest parts is just their passion,
Yeah.
however that comes out. You can just kind of bring it back to passion of like wanting to be good people, good surrogate parents and mothers and fathers
Yeah.
for these kids, and they care about connecting the kids to the learning, but really they care about the kids. So those are some of the just those little factors that come through, and a few people that have kind of inspired me, and there's been more. I mean, um, from my master's, from my undergraduate, I always say that my
Uh-huh.
French teacher, because we had to take French in college at the school I went to. She was the most patient teacher I've ever run across. And she worked hard to get me to that C plus in French.
You're like, thank
And
you.
here I was thinking I got some skills, like parlez-vous français? Um, and I can't, but through three different classes, she held my hand, she worked with me, she cared about me as a person. And so that was one of the biggest people that got me through my undergrad and my master's degree. I got to throw out to Dr. Janessa Henninger. I mean, she is just phenomenal. I still talk to her. Um, and then now through my doctoral program, there's so many inspirational people that I work with as fellow doc students that they have that passion, they have
Mhm.
that just love for the thing and that expertise and like just trying to care for people and how to make things better through learning and everything like that that just really kind of flows out there. So that's where I've been lucky. It's just having some pretty inspirational people. So how about
Yeah, I
yourself,
mean,
Miss B? Who is somebody that has really inspired you?
wow. I mean, I agree. There are so many people who have impacted me. I think of also, like, I grew up going to church, and so many people there impacted me and influenced me and encouraged me in that way, in that direction. And I like the way you pointed out, like, family, and that's true. Like, I think of my mom, who really inspired me with a love for reading. Like, she was always reading. She's still always reading. She's in her 80s, and she really encouraged me to read. And so lately, I don't read as much fiction, but I still love to read. And she definitely instilled that in me. And my mother-in-law, we would share books back and forth. Um, and so that was always fun. And so those two ladies, amazing women, definitely impacted me in reading. And so, and then I think of, I mean, it's weird, right? What you think of, like, my fifth grade teacher, Mr. Warner, um, who was always the same, enthusiastic, passionate about teaching. We would be learning square dancing. So that's a nice throwback there.
Little do-si-do, right?
Yeah. But I mean, he just always encouraged and supported us, in trying new different things because, of course, in fifth grade, who wants to be touching people and doing, like you said, the do-si-do, like around the gym? Like, not really, too many of us, but he got us all going, and we always had a great time in his class. And quite honestly, I don't really think of one specific teacher in my high school years, but I know they were there and supported me because, I graduated. So that was good. Um, but again, like so many amazing teachers that I've worked with in the different schools, like in California, now in Colorado, who just love the kids and loved all of the support staff that were there, encouraging us as well, supporting us as well through life, the ups and downs of life. And, that takes a lot, I think, not only all your students, but also having all of us crazy adults, in your classroom to deal with. And there's definitely been drama, with a lot of us females working in special needs classrooms, but
It
the
hits us guys
teachers,
too.
graciously, put up with us or helped us through whatever issue, was going on. So, and then even some of the admin that I've worked with have been super supportive as well. So it's, I agree with you. Like I feel blessed too, like having so many positive teachers in different areas of my life that have impacted me. And like you said, having that love for the kids and the love for learning, it really is contagious. And so, what is one other way that teachers have impact on their students?
So many of the nonverbal parts of just how they act, like what we keep hitting on. Um, I think of Mr. Mitchell in my high school, now that you brought up high school, and it wasn't that he was invested in us. He got to know us personally. He had my brother, he knew me, he knew all about us, but he also challenged us. And that's something that I think he had a way of going about it that you didn't mind the challenge. I mean, I was a little bit of an ODD kid, like, don't tell me what to do. You're not
What?
my dad. I don't care. The heck with all this, double bird it and walk out,
Right.
right? Um, but the way he would challenge you was on your level. And that's something that I feel like I've I've had fortunate people of like I'm gonna throw out Carrie Manzo's name too.
Yeah.
She's not a teacher of mine, but she is an amazing colleague where
Yeah.
she can challenge you as a mentor, as a counselor, as a teacher in the schools that
Yeah.
um, on your level where it just doesn't feel like it inspires you to like be more, and
Yes.
that's pretty amazing. And so those things of trying to kind of approach it in different ways and look at it through different lenses and just those nonverbal things of how do I think like this kiddo and how can I challenge this kiddo to grow more? I think
Hmm.
that's pretty amazing. I mean, I'm thinking of teachers at every building I've got that are able to do that. And it's magical, really, where, you're like, "Ah, I can't, are you're working with a kiddo and they're holding their line and you're like, "Ah, I don't even know how to like step across this so I can at least start getting this kiddo to talk." And they just walk up and they're like,
Yeah.
seems like you might want some help. And they're the guest star and they just walk, the kid
Yeah.
melts for them. And that
Right.
just is a testament, and that's it's some of those that nonverbal, that love that they just exude.
Yeah. That's so true. Um, Going back again to high school a little bit, there's four of us kids in my family, and we all start with the letter D. So there's David, Dan, Diane, and Debbie. And by the time my poor sister got to high school, she would be like, "No, I'm not related to any of them. I don't know any of those kids." My poor
Who's related
sister.
to them? That's a crazy family. Oh, I don't know what they're talking.
Yeah. So a lot of teachers got like all of us. So I'm sure they were super excited about that. And of course, we were all different. Like my oldest brother was like a whiz in school. And then my other brother, he struggled with learning. And then I was kind of like the average, I would say. And I think my sister was probably average too. But I mean, that's another shout out too. These teachers have all of the siblings in the family. And then adapting because obviously all of us are unique and all of us are different and we our learning styles and learning the ways that we learn are different. So can you think of some teachers that have impacted your kids right now?
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. Uh, in Colorado Springs, when we lived there, there was a couple that just really, when we moved, that we did kind of a half move, right? We're not military, but it was very similar to what a lot of our military families go through, where like my wife moved and I stayed with the kids.
Oh,
And
okay.
so just the community that wrapped around, there was her name is Carrie Smith, and she was at Divine Redeemer, just a shout out to her, which is now closed, unfortunately. But and she was a principal there, she was a teacher there. She was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she ended up winning best principal in the Springs there,
Oh,
like
wow.
2019, somewhere in there. Like I think it was pre-pandemic. She
Mm-hmm.
was just phenomenal. And Mrs. T there, where they just wrapped around my kids and my daughter especially, because she was at that preschool kindergarten age ish,
Uh-huh.
and they were willing to bend and to help her with the emotions, but they were also kind of holding her to it so that she got her learning done. And
Right.
um, so just that compassion and ability to try and teach her grit was just huge for them and for us as parents. And I'm getting a little verklempt over here. But so that was amazing. And then out here we live Omaha, Iowa area. There's Holly DeRocher is an amazing teacher. She is just all those same things too, just compassionate. She's just fun and knows how to kind of approach the kids in a fun atmosphere, but is also willing to hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to be held accountable because of how much the connection, how strong the
Right.
connection is, and how much she does with them. And I don't think we've had bad teachers either. There's some that just kind of they have that je ne sais quoi, right? That just that piece that really stands out for them.
Right.
So we've been lucky so much with that, between Colorado and out here, and just phenomenal teachers. And one my son connected with really well, and just he still goes back and he's in sixth grade, almost seventh now, and almost taller than me, which
Wow.
isn't hard to do. I'm not a tall dude, but he goes back and sees her um as much as he can and says hi, and she remembers everything about him and always asking about how he's doing and everything. So there's um there's just those kinds of things that makes it really nice for my to see my kids go through that, knowing that I had some of those things in different ways, and some of those people too.
Yeah, I think it's even more impactful when you see it happening with your kids and that
Yeah.
they're able to have those teachers, that have such a positive influence in them as well. Because, like they say, it takes a village, to raise our kids, to influence them, to help them become a whole, positive, successful person. And, I'm greatly blessed as well to have great teachers that poured into um, my boys' lives. And my oldest, he just finished his master's in special education. And I know he's had a lot of great teachers that have influenced him and coaches. He played football, and that really just inspired him and supported him to just go that next level. And so that's super exciting to see. And what do you think? Well, how important do you think is like adaptability and flexibility with teachers and their impact on the students?
Well, I think that's probably, I feel like in my book, because I feel like that's a quality that I have a lot. So I hold that like really high
Uh-huh.
myself. Um, because you just never know. With kids, you just never know. I mean, kindergartners, especially a lot of those sixth graders and, even high schoolers where you think everybody's going to take, that roadmap through there and all of a sudden someone's taking that left turn and you don't know where they're going with it. There's been a few times where I've asked a question when I was teaching my SEL curriculum, and I'm like, that looked a lot different in my head than what actually came out. So
Right.
I I hold that adaptability, flexibility really high as far as like skill wise,
Uh-huh.
just because of how many crazy things can happen in a day, let alone what every kid brings with them. So,
Right.
point in fact, like one of my buildings today didn't have their air conditioner on. And so we got to, I don't know, it wasn't too bad today, like 80-ish with some good humidity. So if you go
Nice.
into part of the building, because it's all under construction, so half the building has no AC, the other half does. And
Oh
so just being
man.
able to like be flexible with that and responding to kids who are super hot because the room is sweltering, or the lunch, this is one of the things that just runs. I never would have predicted this, before I started working in schools, but when the lunch menu has to change because
Mm-hmm.
like something's not available, if you don't have that pizza slice or
Oh man.
oh man, if it is
Yeah.
not turkey gravy day, there's gonna be riots, right?
That's so
And
true.
so, there's so much that is like out of your control. Like there was something that happened the other day where it was like trying to think back, it was like Cocoa Puffs or Cinnamon Toast Crunch wasn't in the breakfast bags. And man, there was probably three meltdowns from that alone. So
Yeah.
the ability to flex with that of like that's not even something I didn't even put my foot in my mouth yet, and
Right.
things are already going sideways a little bit. I That's where I think it helps so much. um but then I also work in the world with like special education, and we work with behavior plans where you can't have so much flexibility, right?
Hmm.
You gotta still, even to the, like we were just talking about that in one of my buildings today about, okay, so the plan says this, we got a week left. Are we holding to that plan, or are we trying to be flexible within that plan, or do
Right.
we just do a letter of it? And that's a hard one to do.
Right.
Um, go straight to timeout. Do we process first? Do we have some grace and know that we got a week left for our school year, but we're probably going to see this behavior two more times in that week,
Yeah.
so we catch it done. So that's where we got to have some of that inflexibility because that's what keeps those boundaries. So it's tough.
Right.
It's a balancing act with that. But I still, even to this day, and this is probably my counselor side winning out over my behaviorist side of the flexibility helps you more than it's going to hurt you.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, really, this is such a huge life skill because, we all know life doesn't always go as planned, and to be able to like pivot, is huge. And, I think of the same like schedules for the day,
Yeah,
or maybe a teacher had to leave right away or, in the middle of the day, or they didn't know and now you have a new sub coming in and that's obviously, throws some students off and whatever it is, just being able to show and to model that for your students is a huge life skill and just be like, okay, guys, well, we can't do this, but we're going to do this instead. And that'll be great, and just move on. It just shows them like it's all right. Like we're going to survive. The world is not ending, even though some students they feel like that.
yeah,
And I think that is definitely a huge, huge skill to have. And like I said, life skill for your students and to model that and I think that comes along with, the whole classroom management as well. How well and I think also like I'm definitely more in between, like the same. Like I want to be caring and compassionate, but there's still a firm side and there's a boundary. And we have keeping that balance, of course, is the hard thing to do. But like you said, in some ways, some of our students, like they really need that structure, and we need to keep to that as much as possible. Where other students, like it's okay, we can flex this a little bit here and know like that student's going to be okay to go through that. So how do you feel about the importance? I mean, I know we talk about the classroom management a lot because that does affect behavior. Um, so how does that also tie in with being that impactful teacher, and having that skill also, that classroom management?
I think it's somebody's willing to try something.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, that willingness to try and willingness to be vulnerable as far as trying a new thing and like willing to fail. Because sometimes when we hold those boundaries, I'm like, "Ah, that was not a fight I should have picked." Right? But if
That's
you're
true.
willing to like hold yourself accountable for it, like, well, that didn't go well. I literally told the teacher that today. I was like, well, I gave this person a break the other day, and I kind of left the door literally and figuratively open so that they wouldn't come back into class.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna try something different this time when I was given a break,
Yeah.
because that didn't go so well, and that's on me. Um, so I think that the teachers that I find that are the most impactful are willing to at least own that part or try something new.
Right.
Like that didn't work. My balance wasn't right on that one. I should have had a stronger boundary on that. I should have had less of I should have been a little bit more wiggly on that, give a little bit more
Right.
grace. But the self-assessment and kind of that self-awareness is really key in that because we're not going to nail it right away. But if you leave the room open for that flexibility to be able to try it new in a different way next time, then that's where I see people who just go the extra mile. Like, oh, I remember I didn't
Right.
do this last time. And I've told kids that, like, hey, last time I didn't do this, and
Yeah.
this is what happened. And you remember none of us were happy at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to do it differently. And kids appreciate that honesty. And so,
True.
and that's just from trying to model from other people who have shown me that and done that. So the ability to have that flexibility and know that you can work within that and when to hold those boundaries and sometimes we get those right and sometimes we don't. That awareness of that is pretty key in my book.
Yes, I agree. And that just reminds, ties into like the communication, being able to, like you said, be vulnerable, admit, like, you know what? Yeah, we probably shouldn't have done it that way. Let's try this. Or, I've had teachers just express their frustration and in an honest way without, screaming or losing their cool for the most part, but just saying, guys, like, you're just being really frustrating to me right now. I need a minute. And it's amazing. Like kids are sometimes like, wait, what? And other times they're like, quiet, 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 trying to get the peace. But, having that communication, that authenticity with students really goes a long way as well. What do you think about that, Andrew?
I can't tell you how much honesty has helped me. And it's so I was just thinking of and I think I've mentioned this before. It's the TED Talk, Every Kid Needs a Champion.
Yes,
And that gal,
Rita Pearson.
Rita, yep. And I was trying to think of the last name. I couldn't think of the last name, but Rita is the teacher's name, and how she was just honest and
Yeah,
she apologized to it. Like that's amazing. That's something that I have. There's teachers I work with that are like, why would I apologize? Like, well, you were
oh,
pretty wrong
true,
on that one. Like, we
true.
were all wrong. You were pretty wrong on that one.
Yeah,
Um, but I apologize to kids all the time. Like, hey, I'm sorry the way that went.
yeah,
I don't like that. I want you to tell me how I can do better too. Well, I'm
yeah,
going to think of ways that I can try and help you better. But just that raw, being honest with them about like, hey, you know, I'm going to give you grace on this. That probably should have been something else, but
right.
it's been a wild day, so we don't have any air conditioning. So we're just going to chalk it down to being too hot
Yeah.
or something like that, or no goldfishes. You only had, I don't know, Cheez-Its available. So we're just you were hangry and nobody, you're not you when you're hungry, right? And so being able to have that
Exactly.
honesty of like letting them know what you're thinking about that, because kids will suss out some of those things about when we're being inauthentic. They may not know the exact answer, but they know that you're not being real with them. And
Yeah,
that's, I can't say that how important that is. Of just, it makes you a trustworthy person. You're,
exactly.
you're as honest as you can be. And sometimes the honest answer is, I don't know.
Right. And that's okay, right? I mean, we never know all the answers all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but
Well,
honestly,
Mrs. B is a little different than than when you're talking to Smith
just
over
kidding.
here, who's flying by the seat of his pants. But
No, I just give hugs and everything's fine, right?
yep. Uh, the kids in my schools usually say hugs before drugs, right? So
See?
giving the hugs, make that connection, or you feel the
Exactly.
disconnect. But just the authenticity, and that speaks back to the most impactful people are usually the most authentic, good, bad, or ugly.
Right.
You know where they're at.
Yeah.
They're predictable and they're consistent, and they bring that passion um for just being there and being in that moment
Yeah.
with kids. And that's what it's all about.
Well, I mean, you did a great job summarizing everything there because I was just going to ask you that. Like, really, like teachers have such a powerful job. They are in a powerful position to empower their students to be successful, to maybe do something different, to change that behavior, to be more positive, to be kind, that they learn how to be empathetic. I mean, so much kind of rides on, teachers and their impact. And then I also think of like how like it really is again, the whole village, the whole school. It's that support staff. It's even the custodians. Like we have two great custodians that are always so happy to be there. And they're always high-fiving the kids. They're high-fiving us. I mean, and kids are always like going up to them and saying hi and connecting with them. And again, it's that enthusiasm, that passion. And it's like no matter what you're doing, you have the opportunity to impact the students around you. And so, really, a shout out to all the teachers, all the educators who give of themselves each and every day. And hang on because summer is coming.
It's so close. It's so close.
So
Unless
close.
you're like my Pacific Northwest friends up in Washington and you still got like a month.
Oh man.
But that's still 1 month closer,
Yeah,
right?
right. Because we're like, what, 6 days? Yes, six
Yeah.
days.
I
Can't wait.
7 days for full days, seven or five of them full days, and then we have a little half day on the Friday. So,
Oh,
but that's usually party day or bump up day, or yeah, everybody's got
right.
a little thing for that. So I'm working on the six, we'll call it 6 days and some change.
Right.
650. We'll call it
See,
650.
sweet. Well, as always, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to share your expertise, your knowledge, and your encouragement as well with everyone who listens here. And thank you again, teachers, for all that you do each and every day for your students. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening. I truly appreciate your support. And if I have encouraged you, motivated you to continue to learn, to support your students, even better, to help them strive in your classroom, please leave a review, hit that subscribe button so that others can see they can learn and grow here as well. Thank you.